With the final race here as we head to Phoenix, the NASCAR championship is on the line. Brian and I are here to get you set for the Phoenix race, the NASCAR championship. Brian and I will talk race odds. We'll talk championship odds. We'll talk to you how we're betting this, what we're betting, all of that good stuff, as well as recap all that was Martinsville, talk some DraftKings, talk some betting card, all that good stuff. And get ready for pour one out, the final race of the year.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on grass.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining, we started this way back in February with a little Daytona 500 action. Appreciate everybody who's been along for the ride. It's been one hell of a ride. But we're talking about the final race. It's Phoenix. It's, the championship on the line. We know who the final four is. Obviously, Christopher Bell and William Byron and your boy, Ryan Blaney, YRB.
Right, baby.
And old Kyle Larson. That's your final four. Pretty excited for the race. I'm not going to lie. I know you will be sportsbook side in Vegas. I'm very excited for you. Obviously, we will still record our normal show Saturday night to get you set for the race, talk DraftKings, all that good stuff. But before we do that, we should talk a little Martinsville because I think it was a fun race. Brian had a great card. Mine was a little frustrating, but it was fine. But let me throw up a little bit and then I'll put on the screen. Let's see here. Wow. So obviously, young Ryan Blaney, YRB, was the best car. We talked about that. Impressive run. It felt like he wasn't quite gonna get there, and then he got there, and he was gone. It was it was hard to catch up. And obviously having him in your DraftKings lineups was the guy you needed. So obviously having him, only 26% of the field in this contest had him, which was nice to see. Old Chris Bell had a nice race. Old Joey Logano helped his teammate out. We'll see if he can do it again this week.
Finally, for the first time in 2023, Logano doesn't screw me over some way, somehow.
I feel like he's setting you up, though. He's loosey with the football, and you're going to go back to the well, and it may end poorly. Shouts to SHR. You close enough, but quite couldn't get there. Austin Cindric pulled out the top 10. Appreciate that, Austin. And Harrison Burton, yeah. So going with our basically Penske affiliated, and then just mixing in Bell and Briscoe was key to a nice week. Wish I'd played a little bit more, but that's okay. Overall, pretty solid. Let's throw up the bet tracker here. Let's go. So Briscoe top 10, duh. Eric Almirola top 10, duh. Ryan Preece and Kevin Harvick, you were there. You were so close, and then you weren't. So obviously that didn't work out. Brad K, not so much. The Preece and the Briscoe top four actually felt real. Obviously with Blaney winning, easy. Over 3.5 Fords. Love that bet. Cash that bet. I think we got 5 in there, 4 or 5.
Yeah, they placed 5 Mustangs in the top 10.
Briscoe over Busher, that was great. Briscoe over Almirola. Briscoe had a great day, right behind Almirola.
There was so if you caught Chris Wormey's pre-race poll and you were watching on YouTube, I put in a comment in there and I said, this feels like a race that somebody like Eric Almirola is going to win. So let me just say, when we were coming to like 40 to go and Almirola was leading the field, I was like, man, I don't know if I want Almirola to win here because he was probably like 20-1 for people, or if I want my guy Blaney to wind up catching him from runner-up and take home the victory.
We wanted Blaney because we wanted that 10-1. We wanted to cash that championship ticket. So obviously,
but he was going to get in regardless at that point. Like he had already solidified his playoff spot. But
no, that was fair.
So I was definitely torn for a while.
And then Denny Hamlin, 2 years in a row, just right there, and then left on the outside looking in. Obviously, last year at the Hail Melon, this year just could not get to where he needed. And old Byron just needed like a top 18 finish, basically top 17 finish, and he was going to be locked in. So obviously, he got that.
So I wanted to mention something about that. I almost feel like some of the drivers in the midfield kind of sandbagged a little bit to let William Byron get by them to assure the fact that Denny didn't get in, because look, everyone has probably seen by now, Denny is probably ruffling some feathers, probably just in the garage. He's very outspoken. I know fans are all over him. I love it personally. I know Kyle, he hates him, but like, I do wonder if there were certain drivers who were like, F that guy. Like Ross Chastain, for instance, who finished one spot behind William Byron. He and Denny have had some run-ins in the past. Like,
yeah, and obviously Ross owed Hendrick some thank yous.
Exactly. So, like this is like his good.
There was also a few cars that had to pit, unfortunately, because they stayed out and hoped to get some good luck, and but Brian Blaney 8.5 to 1, cash it. Logano top 10, Logano top 5, cash it. You almost got the top 3. Obviously, the top 4 wasn't going to come to fruition with Blaney winning the race. Penske over SHR, obviously got a nice price on that pre-practice and qualifying, cash it. Blaney over Hamlin, cash it. Bubba top 10. Of course, it always, like, it feels like we've had. I mean, if we go back, I bet we could find a bunch of those where it's like, need a top 5, 6th, need a top 10, 11th, need him to win in a head-to-head, gets 4th. The guy that he's in head-to-head gets 3rd.
Hey, I'm still extremely optimistic, especially about going into next year. Like the fact that we're disappointed that he got an 11th at a track that he was never really considered to be good at. Like that's now 3 consecutive finishes 11th or better at Homestead.
I'm really curious to see what to make the Final 4 and to win the championship prices are going to be.
Well, obviously, he should probably be amongst the favorites now that we know that he's got the force behind him.
Exactly. We'll definitely have some content before the Daytona 500. So make sure you are staying subscribed. We will have some futures bets. Maybe we can rope some nice guests to come in and chat, season long odds with us to kind of get some nice tickets in our pockets. So as we're heading into the final week, we can have a 35 to 1 on Ryan Blaney, or some of these really nice numbers that some people have had. Some people have 7 or 8 to 1 on Kyle Larson. Like, there's different numbers out there. But hell of a week, Brian. Cashed a lot of tickets. Obviously, getting some good vibes heading into the season finale. With that being said, let's look at some odds. Let's talk some numbers and see what we can do. So, let's look at first just the race odds. And I pulled up some numbers while I was doing some prep, and then obviously you hit them with the nugget. But of the 9 races in the Final 4, a playoff driver has won the race. Of the last 3 playoff races, the playoff driver has gotten the pole, and that driver has won the race. So Chase in 2020, Kyle Larson 2021, and Joey Logano in 2022. Pulled it, won it. Pulled it, won it. Logano or Elliott actually had in 2020, pulled it, had to start in the back, and still won the race. So obviously, this is a field where it's not easy per se to move through, but if you are one of the best cars and you have a legit shot, you can move forward and you can actually get there. Even last year we saw it. Ross Chastain started 25th, ends up finishing 3rd. Once again, Logano pulled it, won it, was the best car all day. So, if you have a strong feeling.
12 was the best car.
Well, okay.
He allowed his teammates.
You're right. And that's something we'll have to think about too, because as you mentioned, there's a very real argument for the 12 being the best car all day on Sunday, but because of team responsibilities and whatnot, he made sure his boy got the win. So we'll see. Obviously, an opportunity for the 22 to help out and kind of repay
We'll see.
some of those niceties, as they say. So it's interesting to talk about. So obviously, these are race odds. So we'll go through the race odds, and then we'll go through the championship odds and see where the best numbers are. Clearly, you don't necessarily have to win the race to win the championship, so there is a little more wiggle room. But it sure feels like you got to win the race to win the championship, especially with the names in the final four, and the like. Kyle Larson is dominant at Phoenix. Ryan Blaney, over the last few years, I was actually looking at his results at Phoenix over the last in this. Let me pull it up. Here we go.
He has a 4.4 average finish in the next gen car here.
In his November races, all of the championship races, even though he's not been there, he was second in 2022. He was fourth in 2021. He was sixth in 2020. He was third in 2019, and then obviously had a radiator issue in 2018 and finished 34th, but qualified fourth November 2017 when he was with Wood Brothers, put it on pole, and then top 10 back in 2016 with Wood Brothers. So this is a guy who drives extremely well at this track. Obviously, my boy William Byron got the win back in the spring. Arguably the best car that day was the 5, but Byron, as we've seen all year, put yourself in position, have a chance at the end, let your amazing pit crew do their thing in the final pit stop, and you're gonna be looking great. And then obviously Chris Bell, he's definitely the fourth of this name, and his odds show of that. But he's also a really good shorter flat track guy. He's really good at New Hampshire. We've seen him win at flat track. So this is another track where he could excel. And, he's kind of the guy that no one's talking about. Logano was in the exact same position last year, and I'm wondering if we end up getting there, but we'll let that happen. So as the race odds sit, Kyle Larson plus 170, you can get 215 at BetRivers. Obviously, his championship odds are about 150, so it makes sense. Ryan Blaney, 2.5, 3 to 1, depending on where you look. Byron's starts with a 3 in front of it, which, as a Byron fan who's won a lot of races for me this year, I love seeing that. And then obviously Christopher Bell, you can get as long as 5 to 1. So Brian Twining, as we sit here, obviously, if people have futures and other stuff that they're sitting on, you're obviously in a great spot. But if we're stepping up to the window right now, all these numbers are super gross, but it sure feels like 85, 90% of the time, one of these guys is going to win. So at current odds, is there anyone that's interesting to you in terms of outrights, or is this something where maybe we want to find different ways to attack it and get a piece of these drivers?
Yeah, so I think you and I both attacked the championship race similarly last year, where we looked at championship odds and they were shorter, so we just went to the race odds, and I've been tweeting about this all week. I'm not betting any of the top 3 guys. I'm probably not betting Christopher Bell either, but if you're going to give me 5 to 1 that BetRivers is offering on Christopher Bell to essentially win the championship, that's what this bet is, considering it's been all 9 of the current formatted championship drivers won the championship race to win the championship. I have no reason to think that it's going to be any different this year. So if Christopher Bell brings the type of speed that he's been bringing and unloading with on a consistent basis these last 4 or 5 races, he's got a decent shot here. So if anybody is going on the card for the race win amongst these guys, it's going to be Bell's number.
I'm with you.
2 3s. That's
Ryan I Fantasy Race tweeted out basically a quote from Bell saying he expects to have a rocket ship this week. Obviously we saw how important winning Vegas and getting to, basically have 3 weeks to tune your car and get it set for Phoenix was for Logano last year. Larson's in the same boat, very much in a good spot. Byron, it was one of the questions I thought was interesting And I think they kind of answered it pretty well. But having two Hendrick guys in the Final Four is interesting. All of the garage can't focus on one guy.
Yep.
If there's a team that you could do that with, it's either probably Hendrick or like JGR. Like a lot of the smaller teams, the Trackhouse, the colleagues, whatever, like they would have no shot to do this. But with the money and the backing and all the stuff that Hendrick has, and especially with Larson being able to prep the way he did, now put a little more focus on Byron's car, I think they're in a better spot. But are you in agreement there?
Oh yeah, no. The one thing I'll say about Bell though is that like the fact that he's the only Toyota that's in this
The only
essentially that's in
Toyota,
the championship
the
here.
only JGR.
Not only do you have the entire JGR garage, you have the 2311 garage, who's the same manufacturer helping you out. And then we can't forget, we also have the Legacy garage, which is essentially turning Toyota next year, which I'm sure they've already been communicating with all of these guys. So, I mean, their team is massive going into this weekend to do everything possible to get Christopher Bell the best car necessary to try to win this race.
And you know what? He is the only driver outside of Kyle Larson who's been in a championship 4 race with a shot to win the championship.
That's so wild.
Obviously, last year didn't go very well. He kind of started poorly, and it was like a top 10 car by the end of the day. But like Blaney's never been here with this kind of pressure. Byron's never been here with this kind of pressure.
And I think it's they mentioned it towards the end of the NASCAR betting preview show tonight. They were talking about how shaky William Byron sounded on his in-car radio when he was asking his crew chief, like, how many points, like, what's the situation? And you could tell that nerves were definitely there for him as far as like potentially losing out on a shot to make the championship 4. So who knows how well he's going to handle this type of pressure.
Obviously, going in with a win earlier this year at the same track definitely boosts your confidence, and he's been incredible. But yeah, no, it's a very real thing, and I am very curious. And as we talk more and more, I'm becoming a little more optimistic, and maybe there should be some Christopher Bell exposure on the card.
And speaking about pressure, who amongst this group has handled the pressure the best in the playoffs the last 2 years? The last 2 years. Christopher Bell has won 2 elimination races and essentially won his way in this year because there was he wasn't going to point in had he not won at 2 weeks ago.
No, he was definitely on the outside looking in. It's either probably Truex or Hamlin getting the last spot if he doesn't win. So no, I think that's a great point. And when he's the babyface assassin, you don't think he's got it in him, but and with the bed shitter, Kyle Larson is the big outright favorite. Obviously, Larson could dominate this race, dust everybody, and it could mean nothing. But if we get to overtime or we have laps at the end and there's a championship on the line, there's a good shot. Although when he won the championship, he was clearly on the outside looking in, had an incredible pit stop by his pit crew, which is great all year, who does that sound like? But William Byron.
Yeah.
Got an amazing pit crew, got into position, won the race. So I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. Like I said, I cannot wait for Saturday. I know there's been some, scuttlebutt about potential winners not in the Final Four. I don't know that Brian and I are going to be betting any of them. If you want to do the Kevin Harvick thing, like a lot of NASCAR.
I was just going to say, I think for sentimental reasons, I don't blame anybody hitting Harvick. Like if anybody's going to win this race that even the championship drivers would allow to win the race, it would be him. But in that same breath, like Kyle and I were chatting before jumping in here, Harvick is a very respectful driver. He's not a Denny or a Logano or a Keselowski who's out there just solely for himself and does not give a crap about anybody else. Like, I think Harvick would cede way to the championship guys to allow them their moment because he's been in the sport a lie. He has a championship, all that type of stuff.
I think Logano would be happy to get the win if Blaney wasn't one of the Final Four teams. And maybe he will still be the guy that pushes his way. He's sort of interesting. And then, as you mentioned, Denny is middle fingers up, does not give a care about what anybody else says. So if you want to get a little Denny exposure,
I was just gonna say, so the one like scenario that I thought about earlier in the week that I could definitely see happening is if, let's say, either Ryan Blaney or say Christopher Bell wrecks out early. That then opens the window for the rest of that garage, like especially for Logano, to just say, F it. I don't have a teammate here. Like, I'm trying to win this damn thing. Or vice versa in the JGR camp, like Denny or Truex, who, although
True,
Truex,
I mean, as we talked about in the chat on the
yeah,
NASCAR betting preview, that dude's already on vacation.
yeah, but
James Small
like,
is going to be stuck in Australia. He's going to have a new pit crew, new crew chief next year. Like
no, James Small,
he's
he's gonna
over.
be in witness protection away from Martin Truex. But yeah, so I think Denny or Logano, probably outside of Harvick, make the most sense in terms of guys that could potentially win, because if their teammate essentially gets knocked out early, they have nothing else to lose rather than just going for the win.
And Brad K. I mean, if you really want to push, like, this
Yeah,
is
I
the
don't
best
know.
car. He's obviously not done great here, but this
Yeah,
is
I
the
just don't
best
see it.
car. Yeah, I agree. He's probably, but I like Mark Skybox NASCAR was talking about him for a top 10. I think that could make some sense.
I mean, I will say I need a Keselowski win because I bet him over a half a win this year.
I
But
mean, I'd
like,
rather get the Briscoe at this point. We both need that so bad.
that is very true.
Oh man, that would be, as we were talking about, one hell of a run out.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, if you're not watching the NASCAR betting preview each and every week, you are missing out. It's incredible entertainment, ton of really good information, and just makes you a better. So, with that being said, are you gonna add any outrights, or should we just look at like futures in terms of the champion and stuff? Because
so also another market that I think is an interesting way to hedge off of actually picking a race winner or betting the championship is if you can find groups. So like on Caesars, they have Group G is all four of the championship guys. So you have Larson plus 150, Blaney plus 230, Byron plus 290, and Christopher Bell plus 420.
Yeah.
You can bet them to win the groups, which is essentially winning the championship, but they don't even have to get close to the front row. Like, you don't even need them to finish inside the top 5 for this to cash, and they would win the championship at close to similar, if not longer, odds than what the actual championship numbers are.
Right, and we expect, like we said, we expect that to happen. But if there is a year where that doesn't happen, and you're getting just as good, if not better, odds, I think it makes
exactly.
Sense.
Yeah.
So DraftKings says championship futures up. Larson's plus 150, Byron's 2.5 to 1, Blaney's 2.5 to 1, Christopher Bell is 3.5, plus 330.
Perfect.
So once again,
I was just gonna say, it just shows you right there. This Caesars group right there. Byron is plus 290 to win the group amongst these guys. So you're getting 4 points there. Yep. And then Bell is plus 420. So you're getting 9 points.
Yeah,
on
and
him
if you
to
can
do
find
the same thing,
like a BetRivers or a close number close to it, there's you could get even a better number. So I think if I'm betting any of these, I'm not betting here. I'm betting the race future, but and then I don't think we were able to do it last year, but I'm pretty sure the year Larson won, we were able to parlay Larson to win the race and Larson to win the championship, which obviously I think books realize that that's the same thing.
Wasn't that
maybe
the
that's
COVID
why
year?
we can't do it anymore, but I'm almost positive that I had that bet. So if you can find a way to bet that at some offshore or some local book, or you have some workaround, I don't think that could be a nice way to boost your odds a little bit too. So always find a way to get some value. That being said, let's look at top 10s where those markets, my God, Brian and I were able to get down a little bit on some nice numbers. And apparently everybody else was getting down on them at the same time, because those numbers got obliterated in no time. So
in a matter of minutes, those numbers were shifting.
Brian texted me, "Did you look at the odds recently?" And I was like, "No, I'll go look." And it was just like,
yeah.
All right. So obviously, the playoff guys, the top 10 is a non-starter. They're all ridiculous. That being said, Logano, minus 125 is really, really interesting.
Gosh, that's still a good number.
Still really good. If you can get it anywhere close, between there and we got it at plus money, but I don't think that exists in market. I would take it up to 130 or 135. He feels really rock solid, and I feel like he's going to be right there to help push Blaney, or at least attempt to push Blaney to the end.
Yeah.
There was some scuttlebutt about Reddick on the NASCAR betting preview and how dejected he sounded. He's kind of sounds like he's been, basically had the flu for 3 weeks. So he's out to lunch. Obviously, I'm not betting Truex.
Yes, but he's driving a TIE Fighter car.
Yeah, they're the 2311 cars are pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. For the final race of the year, I think that makes some sense. I'm gonna add the Logano number.
Oh no, we're both doing it.
We have to.
Now, mind you, I'll admit I smashed this on our offshore because I believe I got it at plus 125 or something. I crushed the number there, and it was adjusted accordingly shortly thereafter. So
yeah, I think that one makes that's the best value to cost ratio. I also am going to add Chase Briscoe because that dude is just a machine at this track. I did the Briscoe thing last week. It worked out great. Top 10 plus money. Thank you very much, DraftKings or Caesars.
Yeah, that's actually a really good number.
Yeah. What do you think about kind of this range? Like Ross Chastain obviously has some good track history. Obviously not in the Final Four this year. It's a little different. Kyle Busch is a place where he's traditionally been successful, but
so for me, Kyle Busch, I almost feel like he's in the same boat as Martin Truex Jr. Those guys have been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
This race now, what do they have to prove for a one race sprint? Yeah. Outside of, look, I'm ready to get to the freaking off season and prepare for next year.
Yeah, and KFB is one of those guys that if his car doesn't have it, he's just out to lunch and doesn't care and rides around 23rd. And
we saw it last year in the 18. When his car sucked, he would essentially intentionally wreck himself out of races just because he was disinterested in being there. So I suspect there's a possibility of that again. I do think it might have been Big Ross. I don't know who mentioned it during the NASCAR betting preview show, but everyone's buddy Tyrone Gibbs, plus 250 to top 10. I think that's a very intriguing number. He's had a great car the last couple of weeks. Again, you got to stay out of trouble because he's been having some issues with that. But in terms of equipment, it's fantastic for him. And I think he's got a good shot. And that's a great number, especially if he qualifies up near the front.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's a guy that's just been rock solid all year long. Look at BetRivers just not letting people have fun. 1 + 145.
BetRivers didn't get the memo that they need to take in money this week. Apparently,
are we going to do the Almirola thing?
Look, again, I'm going to admit to the people, we got this at over 5-1 on our offshore. So seeing this at 3-1 is a little disgusting. But yeah, I'm going to add it again. Yeah, I'm going to add it again. It's still a good number.
And it's still a good number. And he's been good. He was good at New Hampshire, which is obviously one of the closest comps to this track. He was really good last week, obviously. Phoenix is a place where he hasn't been amazing as of late, but he's fine. And I'm not asking him to win the race, but I think he's shown enough speed. And he's in a weird spot. He's kind of obviously doesn't have anything secured for next year. So we'll see where he is and what, is he Xfinity? Is he, because it seems like he's going to be a part-time driver.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think he's still trying to find a part-time ride.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Is he was talking about a lot of teams don't want to have part-timers in Xfinity or trucks because they're going for a championship. So, and I think it definitely hurts him that KFB Motorsports is going away. So that removes.
I wonder if they're going to do the SVG thing and have him run a bunch of races. Maybe Almirola could run the car when they're not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It feels like because I know Colleague was rotating guys sometimes in
Yep.
Xfinity, and I know Hendrick always has a spot. Like they like to occasionally, submit an entry for races. So,
and then Mi Amigo kind of seems like his seat's getting a little warm, a little toasty. We'll see what he ends up doing. Austin Cindric 7-1. Do we dare go back to the well?
I can't do it. I'm not doing it.
That makes me want to do it even more. Yeah, it hasn't been great in the next gen in terms of total speed. 26th, 11th at the fall race though, and then 26th. And then shorter flat tracks. Let's see here. Where are we at? Slow, really slow, extremely slow, not very fast, and then slow. So that's not what you're looking for. All these charts on iFantasy Races Twitter are incredibly helpful. I'd definitely go check those out. Yeah, I don't like any of these.
So like, I don't know. I don't hate the McDowell number at 1,000, but because it is the last race of the year, I do wonder if some of these guys are just in. Let me just run these laps and get the hell out of here mode.
Especially some of the smaller teams like Front Row. Like,
yeah,
don't ruin the car on the last race of the season. Corey LaJoie, just keep it going. Spire and Colleague, and let's keep that car together because that's really expensive to replace.
Yeah,
going into next year. So just keep it in one piece. Don't ruin it. But yeah, the McDowell, I know that has been getting a little bit of buzz, and he's been okay. And I think he makes some sense at Phoenix. Where's he at? But yeah, it's just like I don't think I can do it. I think my card's going to be really small, which is like normally I say that and then I add 100 bets, but like I might actually keep it pretty small. Although
I was just going to say,
like.
I think the card might be smaller this week. It's going to be more condensed, but it's going to be larger units.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I'll be still getting my crazy exposure. It'll just be 4 or 5 drivers, which maybe that's something we should look into for next year. And
no, look, the best way to try to be profitable is just do not bet the super speedways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we might have to do that.
We're not here for that. At least I'm not.
No, we love to spray the board, especially the 500. Are you kidding me? I can't show up to the first race of the season and be like, I'm just not going to bet it. That's not fun.
Yeah.
So,
look,
if you
there's no edge here.
Yeah. If you're trying to be a profitable bettor throughout the year and really, cut down on every corner, like avoiding super speedways is really smart. Don't bet when you don't have an edge. But Brian and I are here to have some fun, throw some shit against the wall, see what sticks, and then obviously we're trying to hit winning bets. We're not here to just do something stupid. But okay, so Byron versus Blaney.
Oh, I love the championship matchups this week. By the way,
okay. I think Blaney's the bet, but I'm not adding -127.
Yeah, no,
especially against my guy Byron. I kind of like the Reddick, although the stuff that Phil was talking about scared me off him just a little bit. Logano over Denny. Do we go there?
So the only thing I worry about that is because at Martinsville. No, was that at Homestead or was that Martinsville? I think it was Martinsville. Denny came out and spoke against what Logano did to Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
Like when he literally just went in there and basically wrecked him on purpose to move through the field. And so, I don't know. Look, last race of the season, like you said, Denny does not give an F anymore. And if there are 2 drivers that are going to get into a fight on the track, it's going to be those 2. So I don't know. I think Denny would want to whoop his ass on the track.
All right. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but Chase Briscoe over Chris Buescher. Welcome to the card. I don't care that it's -114. Briscoe is gonna be really good. He's gonna be a top 10, probably top 5-ish type car. And Buescher just doesn't have that in him.
Oh, they took it off.
14. BR. Bubba plus 105 versus Ross, I think is sort of interesting. Bell versus Blaney. I'd rather just bet Bell to win the championship and not worry about that because I think Blaney is going to be the car to beat. If not him, Larson probably, but Byron over Larson.
So that was one of the ones. Like I'm gonna bet that.
The bed shitter. Does he shit the bed? Keselowski over Busher. It's a good bet.
The market. I don't know where the hell I saw it. It might have been on our offshore. It was like plus 170 Byron over Larson.
Truex is out already on vacation. I'm getting Chase Briscoe at even money. I will happily take that. Let's see. DraftKings. Bell plus 165. Almirola minus 105 versus Tyrone Gibbs. We like Almirola.
Gibbs is going to have speed, though.
That's going to have speed. Gibbs is interesting, and this is a good spot for him to get some good momentum going into next year, too. He's somebody that I want to look at what his Final Four odds are going into next year. I don't think he could win the championship, but I think he could be the sneaky fourth car that makes some noise because he was good, and he was showing an ability to pop on different kinds of tracks this year, and I think that's going to be something that makes sense. If you have a driver, let us know down in the comments that you're excited about for 2024. Obviously, we have some time before that happens, but is there someone front of mind that you're like, you know what? He could be really interesting going into the next season. Let us know down in the comments. We're open to ideas. So let's see. Can I zoom in just a little bit more? Look better. Yeah. Let's see, one more. Okay, that's even better. Let's do that. So Kyle Larson minus 140. Ryan Blaney plus 110. Bush versus Busher. I don't want any part of that. Hamlin versus Reddick. Logano plus 100 versus Kevin Harvick.
That one's just scary for the feels.
Yeah.
It'd be like betting against God this week. Like,
Gibbs
so I think I'm going to do it. Nope. That one.
This one? Or this
It's going to be Tyrone Gibbs over Ross Chastain. Chastain and Trackhouse they're already partying with their Pitbull team members down there, Pitbull in Florida, having their fun, looking forward to next season because they're not racing for anything anymore. So
I'm really tempted to add Keselowski over Chastain or over Chase. I feel like Chase is just.
Hey, this is your last shot. You get to fade Ace.
Yeah, he's just. I feel like he's like, you know what? I've tried. It's not happening this year. Let's pack it in. Hendrick has two drivers, so he's not going to get nearly the attention that he would normally get.
I don't hate it. I can't tempt fate though and have both Logano and Keselowski on my card. So,
well, I appreciate you not doing that because that also makes things easier for me.
Yeah, because that would not end well.
All right, let's look. So I want to talk manufacturers because it's. Do they not have it?
Oh yeah, they haven't even dropped those.
Yes, they exist. Is it maybe up here?
No, all they got is just so they have the 3 top Chevy and top Ford, or top Ford and top Toyota.
That's interesting.
Well, I think I kind of think they got smart to this particular race.
Well, and like someone asked in the chat if Blaney made sense as the top 4, and I just don't think like some of them. The numbers I've seen anyways, he's like minus money, and it just doesn't feel like a good bet. I'd rather find other ways to. I'd rather top 3, win whatever. And there's only. Oh, here we go. Logano. So this is the one I think. No, it was different. Yeah, was this the one I texted you? Logano.
Yeah, it was different odds though.
Yeah, Logano, Hamlin, Reddick, and Truex. I mean, if we're assuming these guys are gone, I kind of like that. Although, I guess I don't know. And then here's the championship. So here's what Brian was talking about. So you can get better odds on Byron. You can get better odds on Bell. Blaney too. I think he's plus 225. So I don't hate that. Yeah, they don't really have a ton. And then obviously, let's go over here, see if they have anything else that's interesting. The Vegas race is the F1 Vegas race this weekend?
No, so that's 2.5 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like you're not
November
going for that. That's gonna be a nightmare. Let's see, driver props, team props. No, yeah, they're not giving us a ton. Look at.
Well, I think it's because they know. So you would have Larson and Byron as super heavy favorites to finish this top. They would have to be like minus 300.
Yeah.
And then everybody else, that would make everybody else's number elongated. Like the next best odds would probably be like 8-1.
Yeah,
and they don't want to expose
doesn't have anything. Let's look at their head-to-heads. Blaney versus Larson, Bell versus Byron, Hamlin versus Logano.
I feel like everybody has similar head-to-heads this week.
Yeah, and the numbers are all pretty similar. 4-1 on Bell, 3-1 on Byron.
That's a good Byron number.
Yeah,
that's the best Byron number I've seen.
All right, I'm gonna do it. I can't finish the season without having Byron on my card somewhere. So I'm gonna add him. I think he's probably the third option, but as good as he's been all year long, he's puts himself in position and has an amazing pit crew. I'm gonna add him, and I'm going to take the 3-1, and if I cash it. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't hate that. So I'm actually going to add the Bell number, the plus 420.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't added any Bell exposure, and we talked about how much I liked him, so that's probably dumb on my part, but hi.
And then, yeah, I think I'm going to join you on the Byron also. So I'm going to have both of those. Hedging, honestly, I have no action on Kyle Larson this week, which is kind of sad. But
I did with the help of Chris Wormy get a Larson, Corey Heim.
I think it was Allmendinger.
No, not Allmendinger.
Allgaier.
Allgaier. A little 3 championship. Well, not a lot of books will let you do that. Do the actual championship, not to win the race. But if you're looking for a little parlay to put together, I don't hate that. You can also
Byron number 3, right?
Byron's 3, yeah. You can always find some stuff to cobble together. Do a little Allgaier, Byron, a little Allgaier, Chris Bell, and if Allgaier wins, or you could just put it all on Allgaier, let him win, and then roll it over for Sunday. All right, Brian, should we recap the betting card as it sits, give the people our favorite bet as we sit here today, and get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right, Brian has Logano at the top 10 at minus 125, Almirola at the top 10 at 3-1, Byron over Larson at plus 132, Gibbs over Chastain at minus 115, Bell over Larson, Blaney, and Byron, so Bell to win the championship 420, Byron to do the same 3-1. You can see all the odds there. I have Logano to top 10. I have Briscoe to top 10. I have Almirola to top 10 at 3-1. I have Briscoe over Busher, Briscoe over Truex, Brad K over average ass Chase Elliott, which that will probably get retired at the end of the year because I expect him to be very, very good next year. But it's been a fun ride being able to use that nickname. And then I did the Byron over Larson, Blaney, and Bell at 3-1. Oh, baby. Where did you find that?
BetMGM for the first time in a long time.
Let's go. Adding a nice little. Anytime I can add Chase Briscoe at a flat track, I'm going to do it. So let's ride. Brian Twining, as you sit here right now, I'm going to put in all my units here in a second. What is your favorite and/or best bet for the race on Sunday?
Well, my favorite bet is my Ryan Blaney championship future I made last weekend. Thank goodness I got in at the 10-1 price because I missed the ridiculousness of 40.
I'm just mad we didn't go back for more.
Yeah. But as we're sitting here right now, it's got to be the Joey Logano top 10 again.
No. Oh, no.
I'm doing it again, man. I said it. I was tweeting about it. It's going to be 2 weeks in a row. This is definitely going to end badly. But yeah, I'm going all in here. I expect Penske to once again come out firing on all cylinders, just like we saw them do last season. They clearly have a good feel for this particular track and flat tracks for that matter, because both of them do really well. And Logano in particular is really good at these types of races. So no matter whether they're putting all their assets into the 12, I think Logano is going to come out here, still run really well, and try to do what he did last week and get up front to muddy it up a little bit to help his teammate run away and
throw a few blocks, put someone on the wall if he needs to, whatever it takes to get Ryan Blaney. Yeah, hopefully we're cashing that ticket come Sunday afternoon. I love Chase Briscoe this week. Choosing between Truex, Busher, and KFB is, they're all incredibly tempting. But I'm gonna go with the top 10. Just get me in the top 10. Figure it out later.
Yeah.
I think he has a phenomenal day. I think he cashes a lot of tickets for me. And I'm going to ride the lightning again with Chase, MF, and Briscoe. And as we talked about, would be one hell of a run out to have this be the place where he gets the win, and we can mark that off on the betting card.
That would be pretty fun.
Brian Twining will be coming to you live from Las Vegas when we reconvene. Make sure you go check out the NASCAR betting preview. You should be doing that each and every week. Obviously, the last week for that. Chris Wormey's last pre-race poll will be Sunday morning. Hopefully,
that is if he does it. He did warn the possibility he won't, because he's going to be at the
track, so he's hoping to make it work. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But Brian and I will be back. We'll record Saturday night. It'll be in your feed early Sunday morning. Appreciate everybody who has been along for the ride. We'll obviously do some DraftKings lineups and all that good stuff. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll reconvene Sunday morning and get ready for one hell of a championship race. We'll talk to you next time.